How did you come up with 100 Thieves?
100 Thieves was literally just me, like, sitting on the couch depressed as fuck during my vlogging era and burnt out, like, just doing wordplay of things that I thought were cool.
That's how
like, thieves. Like, I'm, like, thinking of words that weren't used in, like, pop culture much, but still, like, had, like, I don't want to say aura to it and sound like sound like unk and shit. But then I'm like, well, Thieves by itself, I could never get the trademark for that, so I got to come up with like a hook, and all of a sudden I just was like thinking of like 100 Thieves. It was literally all just like word like association and fill in the blanks.
Nutcase shit, some fucking psycho,
bro, like schizophrenic manic shit. And I'm like, what am I going to do with this? I'm like, well, let's start an apparel company. And then all of a sudden, when it started as an esports team, everybody's like, well, we got to have brand values and we got to have like a core, pillar of what it means. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Because this shit is true. Like, take what's not given stories. My grandpa told me stories of how he made money growing up. But it was never like deeply rooted like that when I first came up with the name.
Yeah.
So that's what that fucking logo is. There's no way.
There's no way
went in reverse, bro.
They came up with the logo and they were like, what the fuck could these three pillars even mean?
Yeah. Had to be, bro. Had to be. It had to be.
I had Brooke on a couple episodes ago, and she was talking about how like 100 Thieves. She was so grateful to be a part of 100 Thieves because at one point it was like the staple, and I think it still is. I told her that it was like the staple for like women in content. Did that happen on purpose, or did you just run with it?
No, it's just like we had Ray, who ended up like just becoming a superstar.
Yeah.
And then Brooke, we thought was like super relevant because of like it's hard to remember like the exact reasoning that Brooke came into the fold. Obviously, like her and Mason's, their duality, I always found it quite frankly just to be adorable on stream.
Yeah.
And then we got on the phone with Brooke because we were just trying to bring on creators that had some momentum behind them, kind of like artificially create this thing that people want to like fall in love with. And that sounds a little like fake and dirty, but at the same time, it's not like we had the time to like just find creators and build them up ourselves. So drafting off success in a way, and then it just turned out that Brooke was, awesome. Yeah, we got on the phone with her. She was super down to earth. She didn't sound like a lot of these creators that had like really rigid management at the time because, sometimes a creator can be really, really good at what they do, but then you get on the phone with management. We never want to take advantage of everybody. That's not why I bring it up because I know where people's minds will go. But it's really hard to get to like the actual nuts and bolts of what the relationship would look like because you have somebody speaking for them the entire time and you don't know what's true, what's not. Sometimes it could just make it harder. I never had like this idea like we're going to make sure women are represented. It'd be nice to say, but it's not. It just kind of happened that way. And then we get the house and Brooke ends up moving in down the road and everybody gets along really well. Haley and Brooke get along super well. Jack and me and Brooke, the sense of humor, and then Mason, I fucking... Yeah. As much as I talk shit, that's why I love that kid. Yeah, so it just like turned into this really nice thing. And obviously the success of that, we're like, all right, let's bring on more female creators. And then it just kind of became something great out of like something simple.
I think people were really hyped about it. I think I see, dozens, if not hundreds of girls that are in gaming that are trying to stream and they've got 100 Thieves hats on, 100 Thieves hoodies on, because I think that's the goal for them. And I think about myself when I was, trying to like a fan of all the shit, and I'm just like, I need to buy an optic shirt and shit like that. Like I kind of see where they're coming from, and that's their optic.
No, I guess I've never really thought about it like that. But yeah, I mean, it is special. I think the thing for me is that like the equation that's always been tough for me to sort of wrestle with is it's like nowadays all the things that we did at 100 Thieves and what Optic and FaZe have become and all these other organizations that started bringing on creators as well. Anytime somebody's doing something well on the internet, everybody's like, you need to sign to this team, and this team, you need to go sign this person. You need to bring them on. And I'm like, well, we did that for a while, but it's got to mean something for both sides when you bring somebody on. And even beyond that, like, how do you accrue value for each party, everyone involved? Like, for a while, we had this spray and pray. I wouldn't call it spray and pray because it's not like it was FaZe where we had like 100 plus creators, and obviously they don't do that anymore. But I think it's just really hard to be intentional about the people that you bring on. It's like when you hear the origin story of Brooke, a lot of the motivation for talking to her was because she was building hype up and she had this thing on the internet that people really loved and were paying attention to. We're like, all right, that would be a really good fit for 100 Thieves. But what I've learned over the years is the more people you bring on, it's really hard to like accrue value back to the brand, and then it kind of dilutes the brand in what the brand represents and what it actually means and why people love this thing, because it's spread out in each direction of the internet. So it just stretches it out. And then you're not really sure what 100 Thieves is anymore, because you just have, for a while, I thought it was really cool that we had like a Marvel cast in a way where there was like a superhero protecting each part of the city. That sounds dramatic and corny, I know, but it's the best way we could pitch it to like partners and investors and shit like that. And I actually thought there was a lot of validity behind it. But in my opinion, if there's too many people that are a part of the brand, and then you kind of continue to have that thought that we need to sign anybody and everybody, and if this person's doing well, they're telling us that you need to sign that creator, the community from that perspective. And I'm glad that people want to be a part of it, but I feel like I've had a harder time figuring out what does that actually mean once they're in the fold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it was kind of, I think it's because it was so cut and dry when it was Optic. You're either really fucking good at COD and you get on the Optic team, or you're really funny in videos and you make good content and you get an Optic, and then you're part of the team.
Yeah.
And now no other company is like that. No other team is like that, except maybe FaZe now.
Yeah, and I think the just everybody trying to build their own business, it makes everybody have sharp elbows too, and it's harder to like really
I've never
create.
heard that saying. That's a really good saying.
Yeah, it's just hard. It doesn't mean the thing that it used to. And I'm not sure beyond a couple situations if it ever did. So for me, I kind of want the roster, even though it's more collaborative now with like the rest of the executive team and 100 Thieves, and I'm not a part of the day-to-day operations.
Yeah,
I want to stay the same size. I don't want it to get bigger. And if it were to get bigger, there has to be a really good fucking reason for it to.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I don't think it means as much anymore.
Yeah.
It feels artificial. It doesn't, to me, and that's why I needed to get away from the brand, because I'm like, because my feelings, emotions changed by the seasons, I swear.
By the second.
So I don't even know if what's right and what's wrong anymore.
I'm the same fucking way. Same fucking way.
Because then I say this shit to like somebody who's been at the company just as long as I have, or like a couple years after, and they haven't had they don't think about it the way that I do. And
also you think you have it. Like you're thinking in your own head and you're like, this is how I feel. And then you try to explain it to somebody and you can't explain it.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I just had it.
Yeah, and then they'll like disagree with you and say, well, that's not the way that people see it. And I'm like, well, I fucking live it every day, so I don't know what.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing.
It's fucking nuts. It is fucking nuts.